ambiguous word. Dead. You're alive, or you're dead. Line. You're on one side of it, and now you've crossed it. Even the origin of the word itself, unambiguous. During the Civil War, in the Union and Confederate prison camps, the guards would draw a boundary. And if a prisoner crossed that boundary, he would be shot. Dead. Line. As a student, if you missed your deadlines, less fatally literal, but your grades would fall and you would be ultimately cut from your program. As a journalist, if you missed your deadlines, your editor would quickly find something else to fill that dead rectangle in the paper or on the air. If you do that a couple of times, you've killed your career. But in the post-student, post-journalist world that I now occupy, there's a lot more ambiguity about deadlines. You have alive, and you have dead, but mostly you seem to have these sexy vampires and creaky Frankensteins, and even dancing zombies. And as for that line, in the words of famed turn-of-the-century philosopher Joey Tribbiani, cross the line, you're so far past the line, you can't even see the line. The line is a dot to you. Sexy vampires, creaky Frankensteins, and dancing zombies, they may fool us with their sparkly skin and groovy moves, but the thing is, they're all dead. And the sooner we realize this, we can prevent them from taking us all out with them. Let's start by taking a closer look at that blurry dot that is actually a line. Who drew it there? It's there for a reason, presumably because if we cross the line, we are now in someone else's territory. Perhaps we need this line in order to do our best work together, to make the most of a funding deadline, or to get others to rally to our cause. In the world of philanthropy, which I am now in, there's not always a clear-cut consequence to missing a deadline. However, you will miss the opportunity to present at a conference, perhaps, to have someone cite your work in an interview, to seize the momentum before attention spans fade on the cause that you are trying so hard to have an impact on. That line also is there to protect you and your team. Because chances are, if you're missing a deadline, it's affecting not just you and not just your organization, but also the morale of your coworkers. Maybe they're scrambling to try to help, and by doing so, they're delaying other projects, causing a domino effect. Or maybe you're just stressing them out. Perhaps also this is not having an immediate consequence, but you will see the results later on when you try for a different deadline and people don't trust that you're going to be able to make it. Now let's go back to those undead things. What is it about these creatures that makes them so compelling? Perhaps it's human nature that makes it hard for us to realize a threat unless it's really breathing down our neck, making us run for our lives. When it comes to a problem with meeting deadlines, is it that it's like the vampire seducing you with promises of infinite amounts of time to achieve perfection? Is it like that creaky Frankenstein where you just keep thinking, I could just get more parts from more people, I can get him right? Is it the worst one of all, that zombie? From a distance, he doesn't look at all threatening. Just kind of lumbering around, looks a little bit silly, and you ignore him. You start to get some friends. You start to think about maybe doing something about him. He comes closer. You start to talk to some other people about maybe forming a strategy. And then before you know it, you're surrounded and they're eating your brains. Now, once we know which monster we're dealing with, and generally it's a combination of these guys, maybe they form some sort of alliance, you can start to choose your weapons. Maybe it's a sharpened stake, and a crucifix. Maybe it's a pitchfork, maybe it's a torch, maybe it's an angry mob. Maybe it's a Trello board, maybe it's Google Calendar reminders. Whatever your tools are, you have to figure out what is the problem facing your team and yourself, and attack it with the appropriate tool. One way to go about this is to figure out if you need to give out earlier deadlines. Now, I found this to be successful on a very strategic and limited basis. I can give out a fake early deadline a few times, but if I do it too often, I'm just the girl who cried, "Zombie!" Werewolf! So I would not advise doing that too many times. The second way you can attack this problem is to break up these deadlines into smaller deadlines and try to prevent the domino effect from happening. You might drive people a little crazy doing this because suddenly one deadline has turned into 10. However, it will keep your team on task. The third option is to really focus on that line, make it clear and bold so that everybody knows what is at stake and why it's there and what the consequences are of crossing that line. On the other hand, maybe there are no consequences to crossing that line. Maybe it's just kerfuffle. Maybe we're already dead. Maybe we've been dead all this time. But on the off chance that we're not in one of those movies, let's pick up our pitchforks, pick up our torches and our crucifixes and our Trello boards and our base camp and Asana and Outlook invites and crush those deadlines, or at least tame those zombie dots. Who knows? We might just save the world.